Hello. Hi, y'all. Hey, guys. Hey, guys. I'm sending a text message. Hi, everybody. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? What up, though? Hey. Hi, family. Hello, beautiful people. I'm back home. We'll be back on the road, but I'm back home. What's up, Jersey? We most certainly should go on tour with SWV. Y'all, how would y'all feel about SWV, Brownstone, Total, Escape? Like everybody. We all the girl groups. I was talking to somebody and I was like, you know what? It might be fun to do an R&B Divas girl group edition. Wouldn't that be hot? Bring everybody together and do an R&B Divas girl group edition. Hello. I'm good. I just wanted to say, first of all, you guys, I am still on a high. I'm still on such a high. I'm so grateful for the last couple of days have just been awesome. You guys, finally was able to pick up my award. I got a Lifetime Achievement Award. It was actually signed in 2024. There was so much stuff going on, you guys. I could not go to the first official ceremony because I was with my sister, Debbie. Rest in peace. I love you forever. Total, of course, Total. All the girl groups, honey. All the girl groups. Changing Faces, honey. Who else? Cut Clothes, honey. All of the girls. 702, like girl group mania. Like it would just be so awesome and amazing. Let me plug this in. About to lose the battery stuff. There you go. It would be so awesome and so amazing to bring all the girl groups and do like a dope ass girl group version of R&B Divas. I'm still getting situated, y'all. But I was like, let me come out here and say hello to my people. I'm looking for my fans. Shit, I'm hot. Wouldn't that be dope? Would y'all come? Okay, listen. Seriously. Show me with some hearts. If we were able... Ooh, this feels so good, y'all. Oh my God. I hope it's not too loud. It's only going to be on for a minute. If we were able to pull together a dope ass R&B Divas Girl Group Edition tour, would y'all come? Would y'all buy tickets? Now, I done asked y'all about a residency, but I think it would be really amazing. Hey, Big Chris, can't wait to see you in Detroit. Oh, Detroit finna be fire. Okay, let me turn this off for a minute. Hold on, give me just a couple more minutes. Y'all, I be having this crap. It's summer, baby. Ooh. She stays dewy. Quit playing. I stay showering too. We're not playing that game. I'm a stickler. My sense of smell is A1. But wouldn't it be amazing, y'all, to do like a R&B Divas girl group, just extravaganza? It would be amazing. We just came back from the DMV area. Like I said, I was able to finally get my award. Thank you so much, President Joe Biden. I got a Lifetime Achievement Award and an honorary doctorate in philosophy and humanitarianism. And I know a lot of people are like, honey, if you did not go to a 4-year university or whatever, get it through, the trenches, for lack of a better word, it's not the same. But I disagree. I have to say, I've lived my entire life, working to be a good person, working to be a humanitarian. Hold on, a little lip tap. And I figure my philosophy is on point. So since it came from the President of the United States, baby, I'm going to take it and be grateful for it. And thank you guys for the recognition and all the love. So we went by and spent some time at the Supreme Court, and I got some trinkets that I'd like to share with all of you. Yes, we did go into the Supreme Court gift shop and buy a couple of gifts. So the first thing I got was some earrings. I'll show y'all, these are actually like so freaking awesome. You know, just something to be reminded of the journey and how far we've come. And I think it's a really big deal to be a pro se litigant. Y'all like those? Yeah, I'm gonna rock those. And they're nice size. They're sterling silver, actually. These are sterling silver. So, yes, scales are sometimes unbalanced, but we gonna hopefully balance them out. So yeah, guys, we went to the Supreme Court, and y'all gonna hear about it. Oh, y'all gonna hear about it. So I got these, and you know your girl's a coffee drinker. I's a coffee drinker, honey. So I got me a mug. Look at that, Lady Justice. Sip on that tea or water. Cheers. So yes, we are, because this is a we thing. This isn't just about me at this point. It is about all of us. It is about creatives. It is about due process. And it's interesting. I took so much in while I was there, because it was just really incredible to be in a space where laws are changed, where lives are changed, a court where when all else fails and you feel like you didn't get a fair shake in the district court and in the Ninth Circuit or the circuit courts, the Supreme Court is there. And that is what the Supreme Court is for. It is for we, the people, to have an opportunity to know for sure that whatever rulings came down from the lower courts are in fact lawful, and there was no abuse of discretion and all that stuff. So I wanted to bop on here real quick and just kind of give, for those of you who don't know, if you do know, then, you know, roll with it and bear with us. But I wanted to come on and just kind of give a little bit of information on what my writ is about. And do I still have that copy down here? You guys have been kind of on this journey with me because, you know, initially when I filed the writ, I made a few mistakes. I'm a pro se litigant. And what pro se means is that I am representing myself. So I do not have an attorney representing me. I am representing myself. Now, before y'all be like, okay, somebody go check on her because we think, you know, something might be wrong with her. That was my only option. It was my only option. Of course, I would have much preferred to have had the, you know, instruction of an actual person, but instead of that, I decided to go pro se. So I see a lot in the comment section where people are like, you know, what does that mean? What is she doing? So I want to tell y'all real quick, because first I wanted to show you all my trinkets, and I wanted to tell you guys real quick what pro se means and what I'm actually fighting for, because I don't ever want it to feel like I'm just out here looking for attention. I don't ever want it to feel like I'm just out here attempting to infringe on somebody else's creative rights, right? I'm out here fighting for all of us. And although it may not appear that way, I get it. Because if you've been following this for a while, many of you are probably like, oh, here she goes in another rant. She ran. But I want to be clear. This is about creatives. This is about us having a clear understanding. And the reason that I'm celebrating, and I'm saying this because I kind of went in, and I usually don't go in on people in the comments, but one of my friends was attacked for supporting me. So I said, well, maybe these people don't really understand what it is that I'm trying to do. And trust me, she's from Detroit, so she stood her ground, right? She definitely stood her ground. But, you know, she was, in fact, somebody came for one of my friends who was supporting me. And I felt like it was important. I went in and let have a little bit, but I also felt like it was very important to explain in more detail what it is that I'm doing. And then I'm going to tell y'all all about this incredible weekend we had and all the incredible things that are coming up for our group. But, okay, so when you go to the Supreme Court, at this point, it's really not even about P-Valley. right? It's not about the series or the issue or the beef that I have. It kind of is, but it's a little tricky, right? So I'm gonna try to explain this in a non-long-winded way. And then at some point, I'm going to do a more detailed explanation of it on WIRF.TV YouTube channel. I'm a little tired and I'm probably gonna go to bed early. So I said, what the hell? I'm gonna go ahead and have this conversation now. So what happens when you are, first of all, in order for you to get to the Supreme Court, you have to be denied in the district court, which we were in the Central District of California, and you have to be denied in the appeals court. So every law that you've seen established, every really powerful statement that the Supreme Court has made on behalf of the people is usually the result of someone feeling like they did not get a fair shake in the trial court, right? And most of the time, people go to trial. So keep that in mind, y'all. The fact that I did not go to trial, which was part of the reason why I was always ranting and raving and please, I just want to go to trial, because I had done my due diligence and my research and I understood that the court system that I was in rarely allows people to go to an actual trial for copyright infringement. It's very rare that you see it. Now, sometimes they get to the appeals court, which is the court above the district court, and the appeals court grants them the opportunity to go to trial. But that is typically done during a phase which is called a 12B, which is a motion to dismiss, which is very early on. The judges look at the evidence and they're like, okay, you know what? There's nothing to see here. We need to go and get this out of here, right? Unfortunately, in my case, that did not happen. In my case, what happened is the district court ordered the defendants to file what is called a summary judgment motion. And that is like the way that you discard of a case completely. So usually once someone gives you a summary judgment motion, it's just out of there. So in my case, the judge ordered a summary judgment motion. We went to the appeals court. The appeals court affirmed the judge's decision to give me a summary judgment motion. And the only alternative from there was for me to go to the Supreme Court. So, beautiful, incredible place. The building is amazing. The energy is amazing. Like I said earlier, it makes me want to get into politics. Psych! But seriously though, it definitely gives you this just, it's a feeling of power and energy that you have to experience. So if you ever have an opportunity and you have not been to places like the Lincoln Memorial and the Supreme Court of the United States, please visit, because it was just amazing. We also had an opportunity to see a lecture, informational, whatever, inside of the actual courtroom. So y'all know I was taking full advantage of that because I just needed to sit in the space and sit in it and just like get a vibe for it. And quiet as it's kept, I also want to pray. So me and my cousin said a nice little prayer, asking Jesus to touch the hearts of the justices. But yeah, it was wonderful. We had an opportunity to sit in the court. You cannot film in the court. There are no cameras allowed in the court, but of course, other areas, public areas, you can. So we sat and we learned, man, And it was crazy because as I was listening to it, I was like, you know what? This feels like me. But one thing that stood out is, as I mentioned, typically cases get to the Supreme Court after they've been tried by a jury. My case was denied the opportunity to be tried by a jury. So creatives, lean in, listen closely to what I am going to say to you, because this is very, very important. Now, I know at this point, it doesn't directly affect you, many of you, because many people don't even pursue. I know a lot of people who have claimed that they are victims of infringement of some sort that did not take the steps of going through litigation because of situations like mine, because they get into these long, draining, mentally, the mental, physical, and emotional toll that stuff like this takes on creatives is unreal. To endure that kind of agony, because that's exactly what it is. I'm not even gonna sugarcoat the shit. While you're going through other traumatic situations, in my case, it was a lot. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I've been super transparent. about this process. We have been through hell. So the mental, physical, and emotional toll that it takes is crazy. And a lot of people, and I'm not necessarily saying that I disagree with this, but a lot of people just don't want to risk everything they have to risk in order to actually take something this far. And I've just always been, my whole life, I've always been someone who, I kind of feed off of the energy of people saying what I cannot do. You know, I don't know what that is. Maybe I need some therapy for it. But I feed off of the energy of people saying, you know, that's never going to happen. Do you know the chances of somebody meeting Michael Jackson and getting a record deal and having a record on the radio for 31 years? Do you know that just does not happen every day? So my whole life, I have been met with obstacles and doubt and challenges that the average person might not really want to lean into. I have. So at this point, this fight, number one, I'm not even gonna hold y'all up. You know, I've been really consistently posting about this experience. So there was a moment where my best friend had to talk me off the ledge because I was sitting right here in this chair. Like, I'm not going to the Supreme Court, bitches. You crazy? Do you understand what this is going? This is too much. This is da-da-da. I just wasn't doing it. I was so broken 10 days after my appeal to discover that the appeals court said, hell no, to the no, no, no. No, they ain't really say that. But they agreed with the district court. And I was so devastated. And I was like, you know what? It's just, you can't win. It's not possible. You know, it'll never happen. And many of you know, some of you who may not be familiar. My baby sister, who I love with my whole heart, and she is my angel. Oh my God, I feel her presence all the time. She was diagnosed with a terminal brain cancer, 20 months ago now. And she passed away 2 months ago, or a little over 2 months ago, almost 3 now. And I really was like, I can't do none of this. I can't, all of this that it's going to take, it's going to be expensive. I'm going to have to pay lawyers. I'm going to have to, to get all the way and be geeked up and then discover, nope, you're not going, it's not going through. That is just the worst feeling in the world, especially when you know the truth. You know what you did. You know where you left your stuff, and I'm not going to go, this is not a me talking about P-Valley rant. If you want to see a me talking about P-Valley rant and get more specific information, I would say there's plenty on WIRF.TV YouTube, which if you have not subscribed, please do me the kind gesture of going and subscribing. I would love that. But if for whatever reason you just want like sort of the short form version of it and to get a little kiki, go check out the Tori Hart's Brutally Honest podcast. I go into probably one of the most detailed explanations of my case and what it, the process, who I left it with, what happened and all that stuff. I go into that there. This live, the whole purpose of this live, while it's fresh in the brain, because I am at some point, I was supposed to be taking a damn hiatus from social media, and I'm definitely going to take a hiatus from social media probably this week. So I want to get this on out the way and let y'all live in this for a minute. But the Supreme Court of the United States was my only option of getting any form of justice for my case. And what I'm arguing is not for the judges to retry my case, because that is not what Supreme Court justices do, right? In order to actually have a shot with your writ of certiorari. So let me tell y'all what that means. And if you already know what it means, you guys, let me show y'all this. This is the actual wrong. Hold on. Do I have the right? I don't even have the right versions in here. But okay. So initially when I filed my writ on 8x10 paper. That's not how your writ of certiorari is supposed to show up. Your writ of certiorari is in a book, lit, right? So it's convenient for the justices to flip through and read and all that stuff. So the first lesson I learned was that it was returned because I did not follow the rules of the court. I didn't know how difficult actually filing this paperwork, not difficult, because I don't want to discourage people from actually going through this process. I think more of us need to be brave enough to go through this process. It was actually very detailed. So if you're a very detailed person, then it could be a breeze. I'm on stage writing scripts, being a nana, being a wife, recovering from grief of losing so many people. Like, I just had so many things going on. Sometimes it's hard when you got to pay attention to close. Learning choreography, baby, it's been a journey. So it was a challenge for me. If you are good at following instructions to the letter, right, and focus, filing a writ to the Supreme Court pro se isn't that complicated, right? Now, you have to know your case inside and out. Now, I'm not trying to encourage everybody to inundate the courts with frivolous lawsuits, which they claim mine was. We know that it is not. But if you're really fighting for something important and you've lost at the district and the appeals level, filing your writ of certiorari, which means to know for certain, for the court to determine and say for certain that this is law and everything about this is okay. And another reason I'm sharing this is because I've had a few people DM me and say, hey, listen, I'm in a situation. I want to know, what your process was, because I'm thinking about doing the same thing. And if you are fighting for something bigger than yourself, I would encourage you to do it. Let me tell you what I mean when I say bigger than yourself. I know y'all like, honey, we came on here to hear some vocals. We ain't coming here to hear you being Nicci Luther King. We came in here. We came on here because we need to hear some singing and some, But the reason, getting to the good part, the reason I was so adamant about doing this is, number one, I promised my sister. She went into hospice. We were having a conversation, and I tried to hide it from her, to be totally honest. When I lost the appeal, they watched the appeal. I was devastated, and my sister was fighting brain cancer, so I didn't want her to feel like I wasn't going to be okay, because she was really concerned about me through this whole process. And it was a lot, you guys. It was a lot of traveling back and forth. I was one of her primary caregivers. It was a lot. And I'm not going to talk too much about it because I can't. I still cannot. But my point is just, it was the closest thing to impossible that I've ever done. And I wasn't going to do it, but I promised my sister. And that is why I'm celebrating so much. Because people are like, bitch, why you celebrating? You ain't got the grant yet. They ain't granted your writ yet. They ain't blah, 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 blah. But I'm going to tell y'all a few positive signs that I have gotten. And I hope that, those of you who don't understand why I am doing this have a better understanding after this conversation, after this live. So, filing a writ of certiorari, to know for certain, has to be something that is going to benefit more than just yourself. And creatives and artists for years and years and years and years have been victims of either not being paid fairly, being flat out stolen from, and when you think about what music and TV and film and art and creativity, and even and keep in mind, a lot of you who are in the space of like technology, you know what I'm saying, and building infrastructure and stuff like that, those things need to be protected by copyright as well. There's a whole conversation about AI and the impact of AI on creatives. Y'all be seeing these people be like, oh, it's a new Biggie song, it's a new Aaliyah song, and it's AI somehow, right? So for you to create something that is going to live in perpetuity, that is going to entertain people in perpetuity, whether it's a song, whether it's a show, you deserve to be compensated properly for that. You deserve to not just be acknowledged, because we get acknowledged for our art every time we go on stage. We get our flowers from people who support us and our audience every time we perform. You know what I mean? So grateful for that. But at the same time, as we start to get older, like Angie was saying, towards the end of her journey, Angie and I had multiple conversations about just how she felt as a person who's been in this industry since 1975, baby. Sequence performed. Okay, I'm going to tell y'all all about, baby, listen, that Capitol Jazz, let me tell you something. That Capitol Jazz Festival, I know I'm getting on a whole nother subject. It's very Essence Festival vibes. You got to go. It's just so much great music, so many great artists, so much amazing stuff happening. And we're so honored that not only did we get a chance to do our own set, which is new and improved, we also had an opportunity to honor Angie on the Mahogany Soul set, which was phenomenal. But as our assistant Angie Stone was saying, before she transitioned, having been in this industry for since 1975, we're in 2025. She's been making music since 1975. Or 9. Is it 9 or 5? Okay, Angie, let me get the line on you. But since the 70s, the mid to late 70s. And everybody knows that ding, ding, dong, ding, ding, ding. They was on stage getting it too. Those women who contributed to that art, those women who contributed to music that's going on forever. I think Katy Perry sampled it. I think maybe Bruno Mars might have sampled it. The people are really eating and benefiting off of the genius and the creativity. This is when my live starts to get funny, guys. So, just prepare yourselves when I start talking about the Uda. Gets a little crazy. But these are people who have dedicated their lives, taking time away from their children and their families. Y'all don't understand. We be out there performing and giving, but it is difficult to miss really important moments with your family, to not be able to go into that golden age or golden era or golden hour, whatever you want to call it, and have to still be working, have to still be on stages, it takes a lot out of you. We appreciate performing for y'all, but the physical, it's real musicians who really actually sing and really actually perform and even the ones who lip sync can be dancing their asses off. But anyway, the energy that it takes, we're like athletes, right? You really have to train and condition and develop this muscle, your vocal muscle, your endurance, your ability to move around on that stage. It takes a lot, you guys. It takes a lot. So if you have participated in writing songs that have been around for 30, 40, 50 years, if you're out here performing, you deserve to be properly compensated for your work. You just deserve. We are the soundtrack of most of our community's lives. What would we be without Frankie Beverly and Maze? Not having the ability to have that nostalgia, not having the ability to have that connection, music and songs and soul food, right? That takes us to a place where we feel our memories are preserved, and it takes you right back into that space. So why is it that artists and creatives are treated worse than just about any other group? It's crazy. Athletes get their bread. Athletes have unions and stuff that protect them. Even actors, have, and I know it's a lot going on in Hollywood as it relates to actors. I get it. But even they have unions to protect them and to stand by them and to strike with them. You understand? We musicians don't have that, a lot of us. Now, there's some small, intimate, organizations and, places like Music Cares, and there are some resources, R&B Foundation. There are some resources out there for R&B artists and creatives, but it's very rare that artists get the protections, musicians and writers and stuff get the protection that we deserve. So my fight at the Supreme Court, as I sip from my mug from the Supreme Court, team too much. My fight is so that the court can look at my case and determine whether or not my Fifth Amendment, my due process rights were violated or denied. That is a civil right. There's also a constitutional right that scientists and creatives all have that is written into the Constitution. We have the right to make money from our works. We have the right to support our families based on our works. What we contribute to society is important and necessary. Imagine a world without music. Some of y'all wouldn't even have y'all kids if we didn't have certain songs on the radio. You feel me? When you go to church, when you hear a gospel record, the inspiration that you get from art is a necessary and important part of who we are as human beings. right? So I'm asking the court to look at how things were, the orders of the court and how things were decided, and let me know for sure that I did not deserve a trial. Tell me for certain, certiorari, tell me for certain that I did not deserve a trial, because no reasonable human being in the United States of America or in the district where I would have juries, right? So nobody in California would look at the list of similarities I have and see anything similar. If there's any possibility that 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 people would look at it, like, see, that's the thing that's the other thing we got to understand. When a judge is saying no reasonable juror would see similarities, I would like for the Supreme Court to help us determine how many people you need to look at this. I think it's only 7 I need. So not 7 people. I can't find 7 people anywhere in the world, or anywhere, I'm sorry, in California, who would look at my case and see enough similarities for me to go to trial. That is unfair. I could see if I went to trial and I lost. Having an order to pay, and when I say an order to pay millions of dollars, be clear, the judge ordered me to pay almost $700 in the district court, and then for the appeals court, I had to pay their legal fees to fight the appeal. So they claimed that they spent $170,000 in the appeals court fighting the appeal. So I am now responsible for paying the lawyer fees for them in the appeals court. So when you combine the 170 with the 700, I'm at $900,000, which is $1 million to me. So, and then in addition to that, I still have millions of dollars in debt from my own legal team, who had to fight with and for me. I've said before, I have an expert's report that was just thrown out. Just get that out of here. That was like tens of thousands of dollars. So I'm asking the Supreme Court, and I'm fighting this hard because my family's livelihood is on the line. My grandson's college education, we have grandson and a granddaughter. Their college educations could be very severely impacted. It's like pushing us back to square one, right? Because, you know, it ain't no secret. We don't have millions of dollars to pay. So you put us into this environment where we don't have a choice but to file bankruptcy or to sell everything. You know, it's just terrible. And it's terrible not because I lost a fair fight. I lost a fight where I was never given the opportunity to present my facts to a jury. In addition to that, we did a deposition. Katori had a lot to say during that deposition. She had tons of things to say. I found out all sorts of things that I believe if the public were able to see and hear, then more of you would agree we need to go to trial. But the public can't see or hear those things from Katori or Nico or the CEO that I left my materials with, who also had very, very interesting things to say that I believe would have helped my case if we were allowed for that evidence to be submitted. Instead, they redacted it. Nobody can see it. Nobody will ever see it. We paid money for depositions until 4:30 a.m. in the morning. They started early, didn't end until the next day pretty much. And nobody will ever see it because the court made the decision that there's nothing to see here. There's no point in them seeing what Katori said under sworn testimony under oath. And the other blow is that they aren't even denying that they had access to the materials. Like they said, even if she had the script sitting right next to her, it wouldn't matter because they're nothing alike. And we just need that to be verified because we know what we see. We may not be in the state of California, which is where my case was transferred to after a year, which is another question of venue shopping, which is a legal term that basically means that the case ends up in the district where the defendants feel like they got the most leeway and most favor, you know. And I just learned so much through this process. And all of these are questions that I have for the justices, and they're questions that I feel are valid, and they're questions that I feel are important. I said in the Tory Hart video, podcast, that I don't have any ill will towards Katori. I don't. Like, I don't have any ill will towards none of the people involved in this. I really don't. Because anger and sadness and frustration is a useless emotion. You know what I mean? Unless you use it to motivate you to do something that changes the world in a positive way. And it doesn't have to be as much as, or as big as going to the Supreme Court. Maybe it's just about how you change your lifestyle. Maybe it's just about smiling more at the person on the street or holding the door for a woman. You know, what these little moments, these meaningful moments that are inspired by trauma and hurt and anger, that is the only time it's useless. So I took my anger and my sadness and my grief and my hurt, which I still experience because I'm not superhuman, but I took that and poured it into creating something that I hope and pray that the United States Supreme Court believes is worthy of granting my petition for a hearing so that we can unpack this. So let me give you guys a couple of positive signs that we've already gotten from our writ. So the first couple of times I sent it, like I explained to you guys, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. So it was returned twice. It was returned once because of the size of it. It doesn't need to be 8x10 like regular court. Supreme Court wants a booklet, so it's easier for the justices to go through. And then we did that, and then they asked me to do something called a supplemental appendix. Now, the supplemental appendix is a boon for my case. It's a positive sign because that means that the judges are actively, or it's supposed to mean based on what I've researched, because ain't no human told me this, but you know, you just ask AI and it'll tell you some stuff. But I had a gas bubble. Supplemental appendix, being asked to submit a supplemental appendix is a boon. So initially, the supplemental appendix that I filed, which is this right here. So you guys, many of you have seen, look at that. That's not similar. That's not similar. Now, context, whatever. So this is a supplemental appendix. This is my supplemental appendix, which is the chart, the side-by-side comparison chart with like 30 of the similarities. I had included it in my writ, and the court wanted this to be separate so that it could be easier, more accessible to the justices so they can really kind of go through it and see what it is. So I submitted on big paper. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, very fortunate that I had the opportunity to fix it. I've been very, very grateful. The Supreme Court has made me feel more like a human being in this country than any of the other court systems I've been in. I felt so discarded by the district court. I felt so discarded by the appeals court. Hopefully my real honest feelings are not offensive to the court. It's just how I felt. I felt like such an afterthought. I felt like it didn't matter. Even though the Supreme Court is the most difficult court to break through and the chances are still very slim for me, I felt more respect as a pro se litigant in the Supreme Court than I felt at any point in the 5 years that I've been fighting this, because I feel like they are giving me an opportunity to share my facts and share my case. So the fact that they asked for that supplemental appendix, they lawyers know what it means. Y'all might not know what it means, but lawyers know what it means. What it means is that they're not just throwing it in the discard pile. They're actually reading it. They're actually considering it. And what they're asking, what the question, you have to present questions. What my questions are, very clear. Whether or not my due process rights were violated by me not being able to go to trial. And what is the metric for expert testimony? Because the Supreme Court has ruled that expert testimony can be useful, right? What is the metric? My expert was 30 years in this business. He was thrown out because he agreed with me. That's weird. He was thrown out because he saw what I saw, and he was accused of parenting me. I never talked to this man a day in my life. I had no idea who he is. I still haven't talked to this expert. I still have not had one conversation with the man that I'm paying tens of thousands of dollars to. Still in debt. Still be hearing from his people like, you owe us a payment this month. You know, still in debt for this. And the fact that they just made it appear as though he was just running it down based on what I said is disheartening, because he's been in this business for 30 years doing exactly what he did for me. And for some reason, what he did for me all of a sudden means that he's not qualified to do it, which is an insult to his 30-year career, you know? So I would never go so far as to say anything except the court, in my opinion, ruled unfairly. And when that happens, this is a very important thing that I want you guys to understand. The only way you can get to the Supreme Court is to be denied at every other court. So for people who are like, they done said no at the district court, and I said no, the court done said no a million times, the court done said no a million times. Everything that you benefit from in your life that became a rule from the Supreme Court is the direct result of someone losing at those other levels. So be clear. And the other part of it that I want you guys to understand, and I'm praying that this really reaches people, is that no matter what happens, whether they grant the writ or not, me being a woman of color, a creative, a pro se litigant, meaning representing myself, getting a writ of certiorari on the docket with the United States Supreme Court, and not just getting a writ of certiorari on the docket, but also the Supreme Court has issued a deadline for the the respondents, because even who you are, it's like in the district court, it's defendant and plaintiff. I'm the plaintiff. And it's always, the court is supposed to see things in the light most favorable to the plaintiff, but child, I don't know why the district court and the appeals court did not see things in the light most favorable to the plaintiff. But in district court, you're a plaintiff and a defendant. I'm the plaintiff, Lionsgate is the defendant. In the appeals court, you are appellees and appellants. And in the Supreme Court, you are petitioner and respondent. I am the petitioner. So the fact that the respondents have been issued a deadline, which is ironically a day before my birthday, July 7th. I mean, they're probably going to ask for extension, which they will get granted. I actually have asked for an extension. Thank God. They gave it to me. I was like, listen, I'm literally, my writ was due 3 weeks after my sister died. And I was like, listen, I lost my sister. Please give me an extension. And I actually was given until June 20th or 22nd or something. But I was like, nope, I ain't wasting no time. And I got that mug in there, early. But the fact that they have a deadline to file, and the fact that I truly believe that the court is looking at this, and the fact that it is there forever. And my comparison chart is there, and my story, my journey for my grandson, my granddaughter, my nieces, my nephews, for future generations, it is in the United States Supreme Court, whether they agree with it and approve it or not. It is going to be very important. And here's why. I need the creatives to lean in with me when I say this. The reason this is important is because whether the court approves or grants my writ or denies it, we will get very valuable, important information. And what that information is it will tell us one of two things. Am I on Brownstone Official, guys? I'm live on Brownstone Official. I will definitely be deleting this live because God knows I'm not supposed to be live on Brownstone Official talking about Supreme Court shit. But since I've been doing it, I'm going to delete this live, but I'm going to finish it. Gosh, we were posting our event. Sorry. Oh my gosh. I feel bad. Okay. Now I'm mad at myself for doing this. It's supposed to be on Nicci Gilbert. I'm not supposed to be on Brownstone Official. Hey, Marvin. I was just saying, I had no idea I was going live from Brownstone Official, which is why I never used this phone for that purpose. But anyway, I done had a whole Nicci Gilbert advocacy rant on Brownstone Official. So forgive me if you are a fan of Brownstone and you came here for music and I'm talking to other stuff. But anywho, the reason it's important for creatives is because this will tell you whether you have a shot or not. And I'm going to wrap it up on that because I didn't even realize I was live on Brownstone Official. But I will wrap it up. And you guys go over to Nicci Gilbert because I'm going to try to figure out if I can post it over there because that is where the advocacy work happens. This is all about art and fun and creativity and light and love. So if you're a Brownstone fan, please forgive me for bringing that business to this page. You feel me? We are coming to London. Pray, 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 pray it happens sooner rather than later. So thank you guys so much. I'm going to go now, and I'm definitely going to be on WIRF.TV YouTube channel later this evening. So thank you guys for hanging out. Show Brownstone some love on music, art, and creativity, and come holler at your girl on this advocacy work ASAP. All right. Love you guys. Peace.